This week wasn't about training harder, it was about training smarter. Hi, my name is Cass and this is the 50 Project. I'm taking on a big physical challenge, and what's really important right now is making sure that I'm in the best health to start this challenge. Before I really start pushing my body, I want data, I want clarity, and I want prevention. Today I'm going to walk you through what tests I've done over the last week. Today I'm going to walk you through a Dexa scan, blood test, bowel check, and a physio appointment. At any age, these tests matter, but if you're in your mid to late 40s or even older, it's really important to have an understanding of where you're at in these areas, and I'm going to show you my results. Dexa scan. What is it and why does it really matter? A Dexa scan is a low-dose medical scan that gives us information on our overall body fat, our lean muscle mass, our visceral fat, which is our bad fat, bone density, and our base metabolic rate. So why did I do the Dexa scan? Well, I want to get a baseline of where I'm currently at overall with my health and well-being, but in particular for this one, my fat mass, my muscle mass, and also my bone density. I really care about my muscle versus fat ratio, and I really want to understand where I am right now for injury prevention, but also for what the training is going to occur later on down the track and how this is going to impact me long term. So I'm going to break this down into what a Dexa scan actually looks like. And the first thing that the scan shows you is your visceral fat. Now this is the bad fat, the fat that sort of sits around all your organs in your body. And if you have spoken to a doctor before, visceral fat is a thing that you want to actually have as low as possible. Visceral fat is linked to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It's also one of the leading factors to any lifestyle diseases. So we really want it to be as low as possible. In fact, there's no real data to suggest what visceral fat we should have on our body, but it should be under 500 grams. Now, luckily for me, mine is sitting at 300 grams, and all of this visceral fat is related to our lifestyle. So what we're actually putting into our body in terms of food and nutrition. Now, whilst there's no real reason for me to reduce this visceral fat at all, as my diet is going to get cleaner in the future, I know that the visceral fat is probably going to change and have a downward trend. Now let's chat about our subcutaneous fat, or just the regular fat we have in our body. Now right now I'm just going to delve into females because this is what the data suggests for myself. Females should have 30% body fat or under. We shouldn't be aiming for anything higher than 30%, and data suggests that if we are over 30% body fat, we are in the obese category. So what does this look like for me? Currently, I'm sitting at around 27% body fat, which is well within a healthy range. Now I know over time with the exercise and the training that I'm going to do, my fat mass is going to reduce. A healthy fat mass for a middle-aged female is around 24 to 28%. So I'm right within that range. I'm really interested to see, as my training progresses, where that shift happens. But most importantly, what I don't want is to eat into my muscle mass. My muscles are really important in this. So whilst I may reduce fat mass, I want to make sure that I maintain my muscle mass. One of the hardest things to do as we age is to maintain or increase our muscle mass. And the only way we can do that is with good strength training and obviously our health and nutrition. Now currently at this stage, whilst over Christmas I indulged in a little bit too much cheese and charcuterie boards and yummy sourdough, and my fat mass slightly increased, the good news is I didn't decrease my muscle mass. And over the last 4 weeks of training, what has actually occurred is I've increased my muscle mass by about 300 grams. Now you may think that 300 grams isn't a lot, but knowing what we do generally and knowing that it's actually really hard to increase muscle mass, I'm actually really proud of that progress. So over the next few months with my training, what I'm going to be focusing on is, can I maintain or increase my muscle mass and reduce my fat mass and make sure that I'm still healthy, I'm hydrated, I'm recovered, and most importantly, I'm not creating any injuries in my body. Let's talk about bone density. One of the things that I really love about getting a Dexa scan is it really shows you your bone density and your bone mineral density. What does this actually mean? Well, this is your likelihood to osteoporosis as we age. And again, as a female, having strong bones is really important. Now, as much as we've all been fed that drinking milk and having calcium is really important for our bones, one of the most important things that we can do to strengthen our bones is strength training and putting our bones under pressure. Now, what does under pressure mean? Well, that's things like jumping, hopping, skipping, or maybe doing a little bit of high intensity interval training. All of this helps. Now, because I've been training for a long time, my bone density is great. In fact, it's in the 90th percentile for women my age, which means that I have a really great foundation in regards to not having osteoporosis in the future. And certainly from a stress fracture point of view in regards to training, hopefully we're going to keep that bone density nice and high, and that's not going to be an issue in the future. The final score I'm going to talk to you about is your base metabolic rate. Now, a few years ago when I started getting regular Dexa scans, this was an absolute game changer for me. What does this actually mean? What is base metabolic rate? Well, this is how many calories it actually takes your body to just run regularly. So this isn't going and doing exercise, it's not doing, any hard walking or anything like that. It's just what your body needs in order to just get up and live. Now, interestingly for me, when I've done lots of different tests online with different apps or different calculators, I always get a different reading to what my base metabolic rate or my calorie consumption, low calorie consumption should be per day versus the Dexa scan. See, the calculators don't actually take into consideration my physical body. It doesn't take into consideration my high muscle mass, my lower fat mass, and my bone density. But the Dexa scan does. And the interesting thing is I'm sort of like a hybrid Toyota Yaris. I don't need a huge amount of fuel to actually get me started in the day. And when I found out what my base metabolic rate was, it made things so much easier to understand in regards to fueling, in regards to my macros, and what I needed to put on a plate to ensure that I was fueling my body. And this, again, for this project of doing the Kona Ironman, is so important. It's so paramount to understand what that baseline is, and then as I exercise and I start burning more calories, where I'm actually going to value the food, where I'm going to value those macros, and how I'm going to fuel my body. So I was really happy with my Dexa scan. It's not 100% perfect. There are some areas that I'm going to be working on, including reducing that fat mass, but it's really great to have an understanding of where I am right now at the beginning of this journey. And I'm going to be looking at this every 12 weeks along this process and seeing how things happen, how things change, and how the whole approach of my training. So not just the physical aspects of the running, the swimming, the cycling, and the strength training, but how my food, how my nutrition, and how my sleep is actually going to be affecting those scores as well. Let's talk about blood tests. You can do all the work and eat well, but if you have an imbalance, it's going to be pretty difficult. So this is the reason why I got my blood test done this week. Today, I tested 5 key areas. The first one being hormones, blood sugars, iron and vitamin D, thyroid, and just general healthy markers. Information from this blood test is going to be crucial for me. It's important for me to know right now if I've got any imbalances and how I can fix that, whether that's with diet, nutrition, or maybe supplementation. My results aren't back yet, but when I do, I will share them with you and share if there's anything that I need to change, adapt, or take on board from the results. Bowel screening. Now I know this one sounds a little bit icky, why do we want to do this? But it's really important. And the coolest thing is that bowel screening in Australia is free after 45 years of age. Now, why did I do it? First reason, it's free. It's at home, it's actually relatively easy, it saves lives, and early detection is absolutely everything. It's not glamorous, but neither is cancer. So I suggest to you, if you're over the age of 45, go to the bowel screening website, click on the details, get the kit sent home, and don't delay, just get it done. And my final check this week was checking in with my physio mat. Now, why is this important? Well, I don't want to wait until I'm completely broken to actually start fixing something. So being on the forefront and preventing something is more important than actually having to fix a physical injury in the future. Right now, I've got a couple of little niggles on my left side of my body. So I wanted Matt to check those out today for me and make sure that there wasn't anything underlying, there wasn't something that might have been torn, and what are some of the exercises or some of the things that I can actually do to strengthen potentially those weaknesses. So what we worked out today with my physio mat is that I have a little bit of a niggle in my shoulder injury, and what I need to do is some iso holds and really start strengthening up that shoulder area. It's probably because I've started swimming and I did have some tendonitis when I was younger in my swimming days, and this is something that I need to work on, but it's not anything that's going to break me. It's just a bit about management. I'm also a little bit tight in my hips and my glutes, and one glute fires a little bit more than the other. So I'm going to be focusing back on doing some individual leg work to make sure that I have that sort of nailed out. And that's probably because, again, I've increased some cycling, and cycling is something that whilst I do every day, I don't do the distance that I've been doing. So this is something a little bit new for me and something that I've got to work on as a preventative rather than actually an injury that I'm trying to fix. Training through pain isn't smart. It's actually really silly. And as an athlete, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things all the time and training smarter, not harder. The last week in Adelaide was one of the hottest weeks we've had. In fact, we had over, I think it was 4 days over 43 degrees, and I don't even have an air conditioner at home. So there were some days it was pretty grotty, especially overnight and sleep. But I still showed up and I still trained. This project isn't about punishment. It's about longevity. It's about strength. It's about curiosity. And it's also about respecting my body. The data that I have collected or am still collecting from all the testing I've done over the last week is going to help me train with confidence. I'm going to share what I learn as I go, and let me know in the comments below if you've ever done a Dexa scan, or if you're interested in bloods, or maybe you had a blood test and something was shown up that you needed to fix and it was a game changer for you. This is a 50 project, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon.